Gallup has been asking Democrats, independents, and Republicans how they feel about major American institutions for a while now. This year's poll, though, marked a record for how few Republicans say they have a lot of confidence in big business. There's a weird realignment happening in the country. I think this is another data point to make that point. So let's get into the details here. So first, let's talk about the numbers, and then we'll try to figure out what's behind this data and the poll results. So Gallup reported last year that a record low 18% of Republicans now say they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in big business, whereas nearly twice as many, 35%, report having very little or no confidence in it. Another 45% offer restrained support, expressing some confidence. And this graph that we're about to show you demonstrates how the numbers of Republicans who trust big business has gone down since the 1970s, 1973 to be exact. So as you can see, it's like literally a record low among Republican voters. So I want to talk a little bit about, let's pause for a second, because I'm curious what you think about this, Waz. Because while the left will attack big business from an economic standpoint, Republicans have been attacking big business from a culture war standpoint. And I'm wondering if that explains what's going on here.
I mean, I think there's the culture war element of it for sure. But I also think if you are, whatever side of the aisle you're on, if you've paid any attention to big business and their role in our country for the last, I don't know, ever since the great sort of recession of 2007 and 2008, it's that the rules don't apply to these folks. And you don't have to be a Democrat to see that as clear as day. Let's just say you live somewhere like, I don't know, East Palestine in Ohio, where this company dumps all kinds of waste because of neglect and being cheap, and not having to secure their shipments. These are not a bunch of liberal hippy dippy people. These are normal people who see what a corporation can do when they ruin your life. They don't have to pay anything. They suffer no consequences at any turn. If anything, we've got a psychopath Supreme Court making it so that they suffer even less consequences going forward, right? And it's not like the freaking Republicans or Democrats. Nobody is out there sounding the alarm that these freaking entities are ruining everybody's lives by the day. I think it's not hard for people to realize again that their existence here in this country is not like ours.
Yeah, you make a really great point about East Palestine, Ohio, because that's where the Norfolk Southern train derailed. All this toxic waste was released into their environment. The property values of people's homes dropped significantly as a result of that pollution. And the federal government, as far as we know, did very little to make the residents of that area whole, right? So, while of course there's plenty of critique to be had when it comes to government response to the foibles of big business and the abuses of big business, the abuses of big business still stand, right? And I think when communities are, victimized by this kind of stuff, it lowers their faith in these companies and in industry. And by the way, before 2021, according to Gallup, the only other years that Republicans' assessments of big business tilted clearly negative were in 1981 and 2009, amid two of the worst recessions the US has experienced since Gallup began tracking Americans' confidence in institutions in 1973. So that kind of buttresses the point that you're making, Waz. It adds a little bit of weight to it. Democrats and independents' trust in big business is even less than Republicans. So let's take a look at this graph because it shows the net confidence in big business by party. And so Republicans' net confidence in big business is -17. Whereas for Democrats, it's -32, and for independents, their net confidence in big business is -33. Got to keep it real. I've said this on the show before. the traditional thought about independent voters was that they were low information voters, but I really feel like that's changed. I think that independent voters are like looking at both parties and they're like, no, right? They're not buying the bull on either side. They're probably a little more informed on what's going on as opposed to kind of going along with like the tribal politics that we're seeing in the country right now. What do you think about that?
I would actually put credence to that, and I also think I'm somebody who just tended to think independents were right wingers who just didn't feel like associating themselves with the brand of right wingerism. But and part of that I think too is that like how far right the other side has gone, the GOP has gone. That like people who are just don't want to call themselves that in the first place and see how lunatic it becomes at the outer edges. Like I think that's become in sharper focus, honestly, in recent years. And quite frankly, the Democratic Party has moved to the right. It's only gotten more conservative in my lifetime.
On economic policies, I think, right?
100%, yes, on economic policies. Yeah, certainly not a lot of social issues when it comes to race or sexual identity and that type of stuff. But as far as economics, man, they want to deregulate. They want to freaking ship your job overseas. They want to do that just as bad as any Republican.
But Waz, aren't you going to give Biden credit for manufacturing semiconductor chips in the United States?
I mean, that was nice. IBM or whoever the hell it was, they got a billions of dollars for the privilege of doing so. But yeah, I think the damage is done as far as all the jobs these folks have shipped off. And yeah, that was nice. But guess what, Anna? That was like, it's annoying that a corporation gets to reap the benefits of being incompetent, and the government comes in and gives them this infusion of cash. But like, I think it is nice that those jobs remain American.
Yeah, look, honestly, I don't think that the company is incompetent, right? The company is going to do whatever it takes to maximize profits, including offshoring jobs.
Facts, that's fair.
And manufacturing, the product in other countries. The issue that I take with the Biden administration and their CHIPS Act is that there are no safeguards in place to ensure that those manufactured chips stay in America to benefit the American people. They could go ahead and sell it to other countries without any government interference. So the whole point.
You mean they're not gonna make those guys in a cup to prove they deserve the money, or ask them if they tried to find a job recently to secure the money? That's strange that there's no strings attached to the money that goes to corporations. It's weird how that goes.
Right. But look, it is good to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. There were flaws in the CHIPS Act that obviously I'm stating right now. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, I think that the lack of trust in big business has to do with the economic conditions that most Americans are dealing with. That includes Republicans. It makes a lot of sense to me. And so I'm curious to see how this weighs in with the next presidential election. We'll see how it goes.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.